Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
My name is Adewumis Michael Olukunle. I thank God for His mercies over my life, and I give glory to Almighty God because of what He has done to me. Some time ago, I had an issue, an health challenge that almost took my life. But before the advent of it, in 2008, when I was at my workplace, one night I dreamt that I was shot in my dream, and the bullets came into my left leg. I saw the two bullets in. I saw the opening of the bullets, but I didn't see any blood gushing out of my legs. I never knew the interpretation of the dream, but I woke up middle of the night, prayed against such an attack. That how could this happen? I was unable to interpret the dream, and at the same time I did not do more than just praying. But immediately that happened to me, I try as much as possible to send message to my fiancée then, who is now my wife, that I was shot in my dream, and I think it's a serious matter, that they need to rally around to help me. So we made our own little efforts to look for solution. I wasn't even feeling any health challenge or concern, but after that time, I suddenly noticed that I was coming down with something that is similar to malaria, because most times I will have to climb staircase to go up to my office, and I find it very difficult because I feel pains in my two joints here, the left and the right legs. So most times when I feel these pains, I still recollect that I always run back to say, is this malaria that is affecting me? So I took several anti-malaria drugs in order to stop that pains, because naturally I am on the go when I walk, and I don't usually consider whether I have pains or anything, because most times I don't feel pains. But how somehow along the line I noticed that the thing changed to the extent that I can't climb staircase without panting. Then it became an issue. How could I be walking and my office is upstairs and I have to climb on a daily basis? So I went to one clinic, then to the other to make check. In my course of going in the clinics, the first clinic I went to, I was diagnosed of ordinary malaria and typhoid. I treated it for quite some time when there was no difference in what I was feeling and what I think should be my normal body system. So I persisted to know what is even the cause, and at a point somebody just raised an alarm that it's like I have low PCV, the part cell volume. So I was shocked. How could I have gotten to this level? And the very first time my blood was checked, they noticed that I had maybe 26%, and the person complained and said, with this 26%, it means there is a danger, that I'm supposed to be on 42, but now I am 26%. So from there we begin to run up and down to check why has my PCV dropped to that point. Persons suggested immediately that I should take ugu and milk with whatever they are giving me. So I took ugu and milk, and fortunately, because I've had such experience before, previously in 2007, where I just discovered that I wasn't feeling too good, and the doctors suggested that if by tomorrow my PCV does not increase, it's likely to transfuse me. And they used ugu, maltina, and milk, and it worked. That was in fact, that was the main thing that debarred me from attending my convocation at University of Ibadan for my postgraduate. That particular year, I was unable to attend. So when this happened again, I was expecting such miracle again, but unfortunately it didn't happen as I wanted it. All I noticed was the severeness of the illness was changing. Then I began to feel panting. The palpitation was terrible. I couldn't move, because most times when you want to move, you notice that the heartbeat has increased. Then I will need to rest, and the pains on my joints, especially my knees, are still there. So I pant, I feel pains on the joints, and those pains are not just ordinary pains. They are excruciating pains that does not allow me to move, because if I make further effort to move, it bounces back to my heart and I begin to feel the sound was so much that at times it makes me to collapse and faint. And that's how my story started, with going to the hospital, and the doctor said what I can do now is that the low PCV is responsible for the palpitation of the heart, so I should take blood transfusion. So I took blood transfusion, and that was for the first time. My blood transfusion I took in 2008, May 2nd, because I went for a ceremony at Oyo. By the time I was returning, I don't know, maybe I was alive over there or dead.
After I received the first session of blood, he was better, he was okay. We managed him with ugu milk and maltina, all these stuffs, and he was fine. He bounced back on his feet, and we got married August 15, 2009. When it was October 2009, he was feeling sick again, and we had to rush him to the hospital. So when we got to the hospital, the doctor discovered that his PCV was low again. So the doctor was worried and said, this issue that is recurring, he was going to transfuse him, and that he was going to give us a referral to UCH. I was very worried. I was afraid. I didn't even know what to do. So he was transfused, and he came back. He was better, and that was his second transfusion. And we were managing with ugu and all that. At that point, I was pregnant. So we continued our life. He was going to UCH for consultation, met several consultants. They were checking what was wrong with him. So they discovered he had nutritional anemia, and honestly, he's not a food type. Though he eats well, but he's not a food. He can eat in the morning, forget he has not eaten throughout the day, eat in the night. He might not even eat, he might eat once daily, So we thought, it's medical, it was nutritional anemia. So we were following their trend. They would say, okay, buy this. He was placed on some vitamin injections and all that we encourage him to eat. So we were there till we were managing it like that till around May 2010. I was close to my delivery. So at a point when we saw he will get up, he will be down, he will be low, he will be down, my sister-in-law called me and said, this thing that is happening, I have a place, let me take you there. So we went. When I got there, it was a place they call Sufi. So when we got to the place, I was told that my husband was having some spiritual problems, and that he was going to come to that place. He was going to sleep for a week. They will make incantations in the night, and we were to pay about 150,000 naira then. That was in 2010. Though we couldn't really afford it as a lump sum, but My sister-in-law told me that there is no problem. You can get half, I will get half, and we will bring it. I was heavily pregnant. I was close to my delivery. So I was like, God, what is this? The Sufi, because the person was a woman, she now told me that, even us that have come to inquire about what was happening to him, we have to have a bath before we leave the place. So at that point, I was mad. I was like, no, I've been a Christian for my childhood. How can I do this such? So I said, no, we are not going back. Though my husband was not with us. When I got home, I narrated our ordeal, and we decided we were not going back there. So another person took us to one Baba, they call one Babalawo, somewhere around Express Soka Sonyo Road, somewhere around that place. So when we got to the place, the man said that I was going to do one thing, that one. So gave us different things. Oshe, the aspin, Eyonu Agba, he was going to appease the gods and all that. He did that. But the situation was not, there was nothing coming up. So we just dropped all that. When it was about 2 weeks before my delivery, he was very sick. We just finished eating and he just slumped. And he vomited everything he ate on his body. I was mad. I was, frustrated. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was very helpless. There was nobody in the house. I remember I rushed to the freezer. I brought out a keg of cold water. I was pouring on him. I was declaring that you will not die. You will not die. You cannot die at this time. I was confused. So at that point, I was shivering. I was shaking. I quickly called my sister-in-law because they live not very far from us. It was around 9 p.m. in the night, and they rushed in with my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law prayed. Before they came, he was already conscious. He was telling me not to be afraid, that he's fine and all that. So when they came in, they prayed with us. They waited for about 45 minutes, and they told me that you are his wife. You have to stay here. The other one said, my children will be crying. I just have to go back to my children. I can't sleep here. The other one too said, I have to drive my sister back to her house. So they left me and they went away. So at that point, I was still talking to him, trying to engage him to make sure he was conscious, he's okay and all that. Then I got a call from our best man. He told me he was in town and he was going to pass the night in our house. So I was happy. I said, thank God there is somebody that can. So when he came, I narrated the ordeal and he actually passed the night. He was with me. I had confidence that at least if there's any problem in the night, somebody was with me to help me out. So when it was 5 a.m., the guy woke me up that he had to leave because he had an engagement at Ore. He didn't plan to stay with us. I will try to call to keep him informed that I should call him also. I said okay, then he left. So when it was in the morning, I tried to contact where he works, and I told them that my husband was very ill and he fainted the day before and all that. Then the boss told me that if I need any help, I should just call them. So in the morning, I was telling that we have to go to the hospital, and I couldn't drive. So I begged my husband not to go and bath. He said no, he can't go out without bathing. So he went into the bathroom. As he was bathing, he slumped again. Just like what happened the previous night. I was so afraid. I thought he was dying. I was looking at him dying, But miraculously he came back again. He was fine and all that. So at that point, I knew he was seriously ill. So the school brought a bus and took us, and we went to the hospital. I was still pregnant. He was there for about a week. He received about 9 pints of blood. So they were giving him the blood. It was being monitored. All other tests were going on and all that. So after the first 4 pints, he was okay. He was, strong. He could move around. But the doctor insisted that the PCB was too low. At that time, I think it was around 18%. So I was lying on the couch. He offered to give me a space to sleep. I said no, I was going to stay with my husband. So we left the hospital. 2 weeks after we left the hospital, I put to bed a bouncing baby boy. After I put to bed, we had relief for, that was in 2010. I put to bed May 22nd, 2010. We had relief for about 4 months. So in September, he complained that he was not feeling fine again, that is, and he has appointments with consultants in UCH. So he went, they said they took his sample and sent to Israel. They sent to India for further examination. So later, we were called that he had aplastic anemia, that his bone marrow was not really functioning, that is either he goes for a bone marrow surgery or he manage the condition by blood transfusion. So we continued in this. When it was January 1st, 2011, I had a dream. In my dream, I saw that there was going to be problem in that year. I was so afraid. What kind of dream on the first day of the year after coming from church from the crossover night? I was so afraid. I didn't know what I would do. I was saying, God, just help me. So later, I had another dream. I saw that the stone on my wedding ring was missing in my dream. I was searching everywhere. I was looking for it. I was so mad that I will not lose you. I was just looking for it. And to the glory of God, I found it in my dream, and the dream went. I didn't know the meaning of the dream. I just remembered I had such an encounter. So after that, the real problem started. So in February 2011, he was sick again. At that point, they already told us he had a plastic anemia. We went back to the hospital. He was transfused. We came back. About 2 weeks after, he was down again. We went to the hospital. He was transfused. We got worried that this is the third, the fourth time. What is happening? We now consulted with another man of God, a prophet. He told us, he said in Yoruba that it's the mother that wants to donate it. We were so afraid. We were like, and the bond between myself and my in-laws was a good one. I didn't have any doubt about them doing us any evil. I was so free with everybody. So at that point, I was skeptical in my relationship, the way I relate. I was trying to manage them. So later, a man of God from Oyo, where I come from, called my mom that we should see him, a prophet. So when we got there, he said, 3 days ago, I saw in a revelation that you lost your husband, that he died because my husband was with me. He now said, before you got here this morning, God told me that I was going to leave. I really didn't see it as a big deal, I didn't understand. I was a young lady. So he prayed with us, he gave us some prayer points, and we left him. After that, trouble began. We were always going back to the hospital and going back to the hospital and going back to the hospital. I could remember he told us when he was telling me, the prophet in Oyo, that it was my mom-in-law that wanted to donate my husband, making the second person that would tell us such information. So we discovered that whenever we go to the hospital, without telling anybody, the first person that will knock on our door after being discharged is my mom-in-law. And once she comes in contact with my husband, we are going to go back to the hospital the next day to receive blood transfusion again. So we got so scared, we left where we were living and we ran away. So we ran to my sister's house in Agodi. We were living there. We stopped picking calls from my husband's family. Nobody knew our whereabouts, but my husband was always going to work. The trouble began terribly. We were always going back to the hospital again and again. One night, my husband slumped at my sister's house. It was so terrible. It was around 12 in the night. So my brother-in-law, as a consultant in UCH, helped, picked him and took him to the UCH. He left me at home with the baby and with his wife. He said we should not worry, that he's going to take him. He took him. They went to the hematology department. At that time, the doctors were on strike, so they couldn't do anything. My husband, later he brought back my husband. He was conscious again. It was okay. He managed. He came back. So the following day, we went to UCH. When we got to UCH, we were admitted at the hematology department daycare. So my husband was to be transfused again. During the process, the boss sent a representative to the hospital. So when the woman got to the hospital, she said we should see the consultant in charge of my husband's case. When we saw the consultant told us that he was battling with aplastic anemia, like they have said, that he's going to undergo a bone marrow surgery or transplant for him to be okay. And that at that time, the representative of my husband's boss said my husband's place of work is ready to finance it, that they want him to be back on his feet. So the woman told the representative point blank that the surgery is 50-50. It might work, it might not work. He might come back alive, he might be dead. So the woman became scared. I mean, the representative of my husband's boss. So we left the office. We were working on the balcony at the hematological unit of the UCH Ibadan. The woman told me and said, Moji, kí ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀ báyìí? Is he going to die? And she started crying. I didn't know where I got the courage from. I just told her that no, I know that God will fight this battle for me. I know this is not physical. And I know my husband will not die. He will live. I was very positive. The woman looked at me and, she just didn't want to dampen my faith or my spirit, and she left. But I knew she reported to the boss that let's just not waste our money. This man might not live. We continued our journey. Different people will try to come to give us solutions, and they want you to go with them. If you don't go with them, they think you are comfortable with your condition or your position. So we went. Our mechanic that fixes our car came to us and said, there's one place, there's one seller. Why, whatever it is, the person that is doing you, the person that is in charge of giving you problems will die. So we followed him sheepishly. We went to the seller. When we got there, they said we will do different share. That my husband was going to bath on a cutlass. We did all that. The following day, we went back to the hospital. It was so terrible. We left the place. Another friend came to us and said, there's one church, one white garment church in Okeado. Once we get there, our problem will be solved. That is because you people, you are always doing, you just go and worship and go. As in, you have to look for other means of power to live in this world. So we followed him again. We saw the man of God that owns the church. The man told us that we are very lucky that they want to do one program, that in that program we will be saved. They said we should come for a vigil, and we went. When we got there, they said they were going to give us water from a sacred well, that once we take the water, we will be fine. That the vigil was going to be outside the church, under the sun, under the cloud. that we were not going to be under any roof, we are going to be under the cloud. We were there, so many people were there. So we formed a straight line. We were filing out to the man. The man was bringing out well from the water and was serving us with the bell, this bell that men of God uses. So he served us, he served me, he served my husband, he served my baby. We all took the water. Immediately from that place, my husband became very weak. He couldn't stand, he couldn't walk. He managed to drive us back home. We went back to the hospital. At that point, we were so dejected, but we were still having faith that it's only God that can provide solution. But we don't know how to get to him, how to get him genuinely. So somebody now, my husband now remember that, I have a professor in UI that has been my lecturer before. He's into all this herbal medicine. He knows herbs. He is a botanist. So we went to consult him. When we got there, he said, I have treated so cases like yours before, and that he was going to buy blood for my husband from the tree of blood. He said in Yoruba that that the currency they were going to use to buy blood for my husband from the tree of blood is 10 kobo that Nigeria used to use. So he said the currency they were going to use to buy blood was 10 kobo that Nigeria used to use before. And you know that so many people don't keep such things. We were so disturbed that if only we can get this thing and we just get solution and be free from this entanglement. So we were looking for 10 kobo. That day our best man was with us and he said, 2 days ago where I live in Ore, I saw a young boy playing with this 10 kobo. I will go and look for it for you. So he left Ibadan. We were expecting him to bring back the 10 kobo. He has not come back up to today with the 10 kobo. Though we have seen him, but he didn't bring the money. So we were running at our skater, and I remember that, I think there's a place in my house where we keep such things. So I sent for 10 kobo, and luckily they found it. They even found more than one. We were so happy that this is the end of the challenge. So we rushed to the man, a professor in UI. Now, we gave him the 10 kobo. He said, no, we were going to go together. So they left me and the baby in the office with other clients or patients that were waiting to see him. He took him to the back of the faculty of Agric, where they said the tree of blood. Around there is a tree. There are so many trees in UI. So he just took him out. So they went to the tree of blood. I don't know the particular tree. I've not seen it because I didn't follow them. So my husband got there with him. He made the incantations as he related to me and asked the tree of blood to donate blood to my husband. So after all said and done, they came back with some herbs and root of the tree. He gave us. We were so happy that was the end of the day. It took us a whole day, this process. So we left him. As we were going, my husband was very sick. We managed to go to where we were escorting. We didn't let them know because they are strong believers. They will not even allow us to do such. So I stylishly brought the herbs that they said is one herb that once my husband use it, it will be fine. So we boiled the herb. We gave it. After taking the first cup, my husband felt very weak again. Very strange, the way he has not felt before. We had to rush back to the hospital again for transfusion. So after that, we have to go every week. After the transfusion, the first 1 week, it will be very okay. The next 1 week, it will manage until we take him for another transfusion. So it was reoccurring that we couldn't bear it again. So in May 2011, my son was 1. We decided we were going to get a new place that nobody will know so that we can move out from where we were escorting. So we got a new place. So we can do anything we like. We can visit the beer, we can go and, So we were going, as we were going to church, we were going to Dibia. They will give us different things. This one you bath at 1 a.m. This one you bath at 4 a.m. This one you eat at 3 a.m. Different things, black things. This one you eat with eko. This one you eat with roasted plantain. Different things. This one you use with palm oil. Different things. I remember one prophet said I should go and buy coconut, and he prayed on the coconut. He also said I should pray on it. He said in the night I should go to T junction that has three road, Orita Meta. I should go and smack it, that all our problem is being smacked. Nothing happened. So when we moved back to our new house, my husband met an old friend. She was a parent where he was working before. The woman now introduced us to another man. The man said, it's because you don't have the fire of God in you. That's why they can get you easily. The man will come to the house and we touch my husband lying down helplessly. That receive fire. Nothing happened. So later the man took us to another man of God around wire and cable. The man of God told us that the problem is bigger than us, but we will get solution, that God will be merciful. So after we met at wire and cable, now detailed 2 of his pastors to be coming to our house to do vigil with us, to pray with us. So they were coming. They came for about 3 days. After the 3rd day, I discovered that they were not coming. What happened? So one of them now told me that, hey, auntie, that we came to pray with you for 3 nights. That the 4th night, thank God that they had vigil with the senior pastor that sent them. That the spirit of my mother-in-law came and was beating them. I was so shocked and afraid. I thought they knew more about spirituality than me. That maybe we used to hear and we read in the Bible that light is more powerful than darkness. She wanted to kill me. Thank God that I was with the senior pastor, that they did. I can't come for vigil in your house again. No, I felt discouraged. So the man that introduced them, also a pastor, came to our house. He tried to become a family friend. He used to come regularly. We give him things that we have and all that. And met us and told us that don't this your case now. What we are going to do is that we are going to get team of pastors, that they will go to mountain, they will fast, and they will now put your case before God so that God can intervene. In 7 days, God must intervene. But if you want them to do it very well, people that they will leave their family, their home, their everything, you give them money. And I said, money is no problem. Like how much? Say, at least they will look for about, was it 7 or 14 of them? They were going to collect about, he said, minimum, because of the money you are spending in the hospital, like 775 per person. That was in 2011. And I said, okay, anything, let's just have solution, So at that point, the going to the hospital became one week. Before it was two weeks. It now became one week. So we were so confused. We couldn't even wait for anything. My mom suggested that the first prophet that told us that my husband was going to die and that was going to live again, we should run to him. So we ran. The house we just rented, we did not even spend up to 2 months there. We just locked the house and we ran to Oyo. My husband could not even go to work again. Then the prophet took up our responsibilities. He was praying for us. Then I was still breastfeeding. He mandated marathon fasting. So I started marathon fasting without food, without water. We used to do it once in a month. Then fasting is just a normal thing to me. So we started normal marathon fasting from Thursday to Saturday, no food. I was praying honestly, waiting on God. When will this happen? As if it will just go like that. After marathon fasting, once the man is praying, you say, you can see in the spirit, my mother-in-law is at the gate, fighting, and all that. Different revelations, things that we don't even understand. We were having terrible dreams. The transfusion kept on. So at a point, he got nurses that also attend his fellowship center to transfuse my husband. After one lady nurse transfused my husband, one of our sons became very ill. The guy almost died. The woman was so scared, she ran away. Another woman came. Different stories. So at a point they said, this issue, we were there for months. They said this issue is becoming terrible, and that we were spending money. My husband could not even eat. Before he can eat, he could not even eat. If he takes tea, it will take several hours to digest. He was living on Lucozade boost, the one in the bottle. He can finish 15 bottles in 1 week. That was the only thing he was living on. We were fasting, we were praying. It was only myself and my mom in the house. We will not sleep in the night, we will not sleep in the day. He couldn't walk, he couldn't do anything. If he wants to go to toilet, we have to carry him like a baby to the toilet. We will wash him up, we will carry him again to the bed. If my mom is not around and he wants to use the toilet, I will cry, I will shout, I will just manage to just help him anyhow. It continued like that. Then once he takes transfusion, it will be better. So in November, he took transfusion and it was better. So the prophet advised that we move to Ede. There is a mountain in Ede that people attend, and they used to have a yearly program that people do testify about. So we went. So when we got to Ede, because it was just transfused, he could move around a little, got a driver and he took us up there. We were there together. We went to the mountain, we went to the altar there, we went to we took the water from that place and everything. Nothing happened. Though it felt a bit relieved, we came back after the program, but still we were just like that. So when we got back, the prophet advised that the wife was always saying, we are the only ones struggling. Where is my husband's family? Where is this one and that one? They are not concerned. They are eating and living fine. We were suffering emotionally, spiritually, and all that. That my husband should go. That violent people takes it by force. That your mother that wants to donate you have to go to her and go and confront her and all that. So they financed my husband. They gave him money. They got a driver for him. He drove him to Ibadan. I could remember he told me that as he was coming, he felt his full strength. So he got to the house. The driver dropped him somewhere close to the house. So he went. When he said as he got to the house, the mom told him, 4 days ago, I knew you were coming back to me. That was somebody that has left for over a year. So my husband was supposed to go and shout and call my mom-in-law a witch and disgrace her in her neighborhood at that time. But when my husband got there, he couldn't do it because of the love for his mom, because he did not even believe something like that could happen. My mom, you know how it could be, But they were firing me there that, if it were you, the man will not stand with you. I was putting pressure that, if this is how we will get solution. They told us that there was one testimony that one man that they had a terrible problem like that and discovered it was the mom. The man took cutlass and went to the village, and immediately the woman released the man that she can release us like that. We will not suffer again and the trouble will go. So I was putting pressure that if you still want me as your wife, go and shout the shout that they say you should go and shout, so that we can be free, So eventually 2 days after, my husband took the courage and disgraced his mom in the neighborhood. Before he did that, he said he met a man of God, and the man of God told him that if you do it, you are going to die. But because of the pressure and the belief he had in the other man of God has been praying with us and giving us revelation of how he's going to go, that God said he's going to heal my husband eventually, that his glory will be manifested in our lives. So he did it. After he did it, the mother cried. She felt bad. The brothers, the sisters, she couldn't walk in the neighborhood and all that. Some people intervene, some make jest and all that. So 4 days after, my mom-in-law called my husband and you shouted on me and disgraced me openly. Those people that you called, have they come to help you now? Humanly, with human reasoning, my husband told me, we got afraid again that they said this woman is powerful, this woman is weak, this woman is that and all that. We felt bad that so she still had the God to come and say, Shanti, walk by. We continue. In January, that was in December 2011. In January 2012, that was the period of fuel subsidy, scarcity of fuel and all that. My husband was very ill, very, very ill in the house. He needed transfusion. And at that point, I was in my father's house. The prophet said, if I go, I might die. My mom was scared. We only communicate through phone. So my husband was very ill to the point that he was almost dying. My mom-in-law said, use blood tonic. It's because you don't eat, because they also had that it was nutritional anemia. So at a point, he couldn't do anything again. He saw that they were not ready to take him to the hospital. So he called the mechanic and a colleague. So they took him. The roads were barricaded. They were just begging. Eventually, they got to the hospital. The night he got to the hospital, I didn't even know that he was in the hospital. So I got a call at about 1 a.m. from the medical director of the hospital. He called me, was screaming and shouting my name. Please come and move this man tomorrow morning. I don't want him again in my hospital. I'm referring him to UCH. I can't handle this issue again. This is too much. He was almost dead. The man said he has not slept since they brought him in the evening. I was so disturbed. I was praying. I was crying. I didn't even know what to do. I told my mom, we prayed. My mom was worried that I am a widow. Will you be a widow at your early age? I was very young. My mom, we cried, we prayed, and we slept off. The following morning, the doctor called me back and said, Moji, hey, me married that have not seen this type before. That your husband is walking about, is the senior patient in the hospital. Somebody that was almost dead, that was gasping for life, for breath the night before. Somebody that was on oxygen, that is walking around, is even eating. I said, they told me that God said he was not going to die. So we believed he was not going to die. So that one went. When it was around April 2012, he has been coming and going. They said I should just leave him. I should not associate. I should not, I was like, how will a prophet that we want to, I can see that they are trying to separate us, but they were telling me it's for my own good. So my husband got to know about World Chambers Church through one of the parents, Pastor Mrs. Olutayo, and a copper that was serving in his office. Because he returned, he was already going back to office. He will go today, he will not go tomorrow, So they invited him for a program that they used to have in the church. They call it Holy Ghost Workshop.